In this lecture, we will learn about Python's write function. There are two main ways that we can write to a file in Python. We can either append the text to the end of a file, adding to its contents, or we could overwrite the file completely, wiping out its contents and replacing it with the new text that we specify. Up at the top of the code, we will import the OS module by typing import OS. Then we will change our directory to desktop. The next step is to open our file. Let's have a variable named file that we set equal to open and pass in the name of the file as the first argument and a as the second argument to open the file in append mode. I'll be using the hi.txt file that we used as an example in the last lecture, which already contains some example text inside of it. To actually write some text to the end of our file, we need to use the write function. For example, we will call file.write and pass in the text "this is another line." Note that in front of the actual text I've added is the \n, which will start out on a new line before adding the actual text. If you don't do this, then the text that you add will be appended immediately after the last character of the existing text in the file. After writing to a file, we need to ensure that we close the file. Please note the importance of closing a file after you write to it. Let's run our code. Then we will open up the file on our computer. Notice that the text we specified was added to the file. Another way that we can write text to our file is using the writelines function. Whereas the write function took in one string argument, the writelines function takes in a list of strings. For example, let's use the writelines function to add some more lines to the file. We need to precede each line with the new line character if we want each string of text on its own line in our file. Don't forget to close the file after that. Now we will run the code. When we open up the file, you will notice the text that we added using the writelines function appears in our file. The other mode for writing to a file, aside from appending, is to write it in write mode. For example, we will use file.write and pass in the string hello world. Then when we open up the file, you will notice that all of its contents were replaced with the string hello world. In the next lecture, we will look at a recap of what we learned in this section of the course.